Oh, this is here.
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 Present.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Bowen will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll all stand. Sorry, it's in the back corner of the room. New location.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seated? So we'll sing it.
Now a moment of silence. If we could keep the following individuals who have passed away in our thoughts and prayers. John Reaper, retired custodian from Rogers High School. Joan Cook, retired speech language therapist at Sullivan and Underwood schools. Dean Danforth, uncle of Nicholas Cassis, plant engineer at Pell Elementary School. And Joseph Grimes, uncle of Andrew McCarthy, Pell custodian. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. This year, that leads us into our student council update. This year, we have Jackson Steiner with us, who we will be representing the student council and giving us our monthly activity. So, Jackson, welcome. Go right ahead.
Hello, like you said, my name's Jackson Steiner. I'm really happy to be here representing Rogers High School. We're all really happy to be back here this year. The seniors, they just painted their senior spots. Great turnout for that. Raised a lot of money for the senior class and student council. Going forward, we're excited for the year. Everyone's looking forward to homecoming and Spirit Week. Can't wait to get on that, plan that for everyone too. Another thing, one thing that has happened, at the beginning of the year, there was a couple issues for quite a few kids about guidance and their schedules being blank. Guidance was really helpful in smoothing that problem over. As far as I know, everyone who had an issue had it solved by the third day of school. And I just can't wait to be able to work with the Rogers community and the students this year and going forward. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Jackson from the school committee? Go right ahead, Ms. Boatwright.
Soon.
October something.
October 14th.
Thank you.
Ms. Bowen?
So I'm going to ask you how many sports you play, just so we'll know when you're here and when you're not here.
I only do one, that's golf.
Oh, really? Oh, we're lucky. We're going to have.
Yep.
All the way to the
Have you heard anything about how it's going with the athletic fields?
Nah.
Okay, that's a good news. It's no news.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Jackson. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That leads us into our recognition and certificates of achievement. This evening, we'll recognize Frank Newsom, who is moved on. I guess I could say retired from the football coach position, but we have a certificate of recognition for Frank for an extraordinary football career at Rogers High School, as well as coaching the Vikings to championships in 2005 and 2011 and teaching discipline, competition, perseverance, sportsmanship, and true Viking pride to so many student athletes. Presented on this day, September 13th, 2022. So Frank can come up, we present you with this, and thank you.
I want to thank the school committee. If you've coached long enough and played long enough, you know you're a part of a community. So, ton of coaches I owe a lot of credit to. Players, I will miss them both. I had a blast. Mostly, I love representing this community. I may not be coaching, but I'm part of that team forever. I will be at every game. Anything they ever need, I'm part of it. But again, I want to thank you for the honor. want to thank the kids for letting me coach them, the parents for letting me coach their kids, and I will always bleed red and black. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Ms. Bowman.
Okay, so I just want to tell a little Frank story. It's a good one. So both my boys had the fortune of having him all 4 years as a football coach. But one of the, it was his freshman year, and my son Grady said, we were trying to take him away for Thanksgiving, for a family event. And he said, Mom, there is no way that I can disappoint my coach, because he said that means everything to me. And I know that, I disappoint him, I disappoint my team. I can't go on that family trip. And I thought, wow, I can't argue with that. Sorry, but that's the way your kids all felt about you, that they, not to disappoint, because they thought of you as like a really important figure in their life. And that was his freshman year. So I just want to say thank you to you for everything you did for both of them.
Anybody else? Oh, well, thanks, and good luck, Frank. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And don't go anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
That would lead us into our presentations, and the first one is 4.1. It's a presentation by Director Andrade on the OP funding review. So, Director Andrade.
Right. Is that on? Good.
Oh, she's right there.
Okay, so for the ARP funding, part of the requirement is a public review of the expenditures. So that's what I'm here to do today. Just as sort of an outline on that, because it is listed under IDEA and IDEA preschool, all of the funding has to go towards students with disabilities. So all of the allocations that are listed on the document that you have is specifically for students with disabilities. So I don't know if you want me to read through it or
No, I
your
don't
questions.
think you need to.
How would you like me to do
questions will work, so we'll do questions. Miss Winslow, I see your hand up,
Okay.
so go right ahead.
One question, quick.
Sure.
ARP, isn't this is the part of the COVID relief?
American Recovery
Right.
Plan. Yep.
And so I thought IDEA, Part A, Part B, all that stuff is already part of federal funding.
It
So,
is.
Okay.
This
Can you
is a
explain
supplemental
why?
funding.
Okay.
Yes. So part of the ARP was supplemental funding.
Okay.
So because of COVID, the federal government passed the American Recovery Plan, which allocated additional funding, and IDEA and IDEA preschool were specifically designated. In the realization, knowing that those students could be impacted more by something like COVID.
And so we're required to report out how the IDEA funds are being used, not all of the COVID
Just the ones
relief.
that are being used from ARP.
Got it. Thank you.
Miss Poland, go right ahead.
I have a question. So how many, do we have 2 teachers now teaching preschool? Is that correct? Do we have 4 classes in?
We have 2.5.
And okay. And are we down students? Because we noticed that we were down to like 31 students, and we had been up at 75.
In the preschool.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
We're definitely down some students. We've been having a much more difficult time finding peers to come in, actually. So the number that we had previously included all of the peers as well as our students with disabilities. So right now we have 1 intensive classroom and we have 3 integrated programs. And then we also have 1 teacher who does, it's called the itinerant model. So she goes out to Head Start and the state-funded pre-K. Which center is that? It's not Florence, right? MLK. And she provides collaboration and teaching on site in that building.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, Miss Poland, go right ahead.
I
See
think
your hand
that
up.
the numbers really fell when COVID started. It went down into the 30s and it had been almost double that. And you're saying it's really just the peers that has gone down?
So the other piece of it is that we are providing services now at those other preschool programs too. Those preschool programs are full day programs. Ours are only half day programs. And so those students get to stay in their community program because we send a special education teacher out to them. So we have a number of students who are also there. But a lot of parents need that full day program, and for the kids, it's better to be in the program all day long than what we used to do. They would go to, say, Head Start in the morning and then come to us in the afternoon, or vice versa. So I don't want to say lost those kids to those programs, but we're now just supporting those kids there instead of in our building.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. Okay, thank you. The next one is the disproportionately consolidated resource plan, and that will also be Director Andrade. So
So again, part of this is the CRP, the Consolidated Resource Plan. Under IDEA, if you're identified, if your district is identified as disproportionate, and they have a whole list of areas. We happen to be disproportionate in identifying our Black students as other health impaired. Just for reference, we have 25 students in our district who are identified as other health impaired, and 8 of them have the criteria as being Black. So the numbers are small overall, but because our population of students who are identified as Black is disproportionate to those numbers. So part of the federal funding is that if you are identified as disproportionate, 15% of your funding has to go towards early intervening services. So this is the federal government's attempt to make us spend money on not being disproportionate. And I'm sorry, that's a really awkward way to say that, but it's what it is. So, all right, let me just put this here. So for the district, that means we have to allocate $123,000 to EIS. So we looked at it in, I'm sorry, what's that? EIS, early intervening services. So the 3 things that we're looking at, and you should have this kind of form so that the evaluation teams can review the criteria for OHI, just to make sure we're not misidentifying anybody. So if we believe that a student may fall under the category of OHI, we're going to go through this form just to make sure we're not misidentifying anyone. And then the addition of the registered behavior technician at Thompson and the BCBA at Thompson will help us with those students who are having those behavioral challenges. And those typically kids who are identified as OHI are having those behavioral challenges. It's not exclusive to that, but for us, that is the large quantity of students that we have. So if we can address that before they're identified, hopefully we can reduce the number of students that we're identifying there.
Ms. Boland.
So is this new money that we've received, has this always been there? This, is this first, second year we've been doing this? Maybe give
This is the first year we've been disproportionate since I've been here. So I just had to move
money.
where the funding was identified for certain positions to ensure that I could identify $123,000 that we were going to spend on that EIS piece.
I think Ms. Book, did you have? Okay, go right ahead, Ms. Winslow.
I guess I have a lot of questions, so
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a few out there.
Sure.
The worksheet that you gave us,
Mhm.
is this checklist, is this a standardized kind of form that special education, or correct me, if I'm wrong, whatever bucket this is under, or is this something, is this a standardized form that you find in any school, or is this Newport Public Schools particular form?
This is our form,
Mhm.
but many districts have a form that is similar.
Okay. And can you explain how the process works now? I mean, the form says, I'm going to read out loud, like a prior diagnosis from a licensed physician is not required for the IEP team to consider OHI, other health impaired.
Right.
So
So,
how
What
does
that-
this happen, right?
Okay.
Start to finish.
okay, so and when a student is referred for special education evaluation, we review all the school-based information, and if the family has any medical information, they can share that as well. And then we make a determination on what we think the appropriate evaluations would be for that student. So what this is saying is that they don't have to come to the table with a diagnosis in order for us to consider other health impaired as their primary diagnosis. If we believe that may be the case, we have a child fine obligation to evaluate. So we may have to send that student to an outside evaluator at the district expense. And that's how we would come up with that
So
diagnosis.
who does this initial referral, and who is then making the determination?
Okay, so a parent, a teacher, a principal, anyone who works with the student, knows the student, can make a referral for special education evaluation. And then there's a legal team that has to get around the table and look at all of that information. It includes an LEA representative. Newport is the LEA. We assign a representative from the district. And then the general education teacher, a special education teacher, and the parent are the 4 required members of the evaluation team. In addition to that, there may be a school psychologist, a social worker, a speech language therapist, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist. The MTSS coordinator might be there if they have information to share. It can be those 4 members, or the team can be 12 members, depending on just what the concerns are about the student.
Are there ever translators present?
Yes.
So what if I'm just concerned about like a parent feeling like, okay, there's all these people telling me my child has this impairment or whatever we're going to call it. Does the parent then get to go out and talk to a doctor, or do we help them find a doctor if they don't have insurance or access to whatever, and then they can have a second opinion or have the time to come back and
So it can
Get
be
you
any
their
and all of
findings?
those things.
Okay.
So a parent could elect to go through their own pediatrician, or if they're already working with an outside therapist, they may elect to do that. If they don't have that, we have a legal obligation to evaluate when we suspect a disability. And if we have to contract out with a neuropsychologist or a clinical psychologist to do a comprehensive evaluation, then we do that on the school budget.
and the behavior technicians and the I think it's a board certified
Behavior
analyst and a
Yep.
behavior tech.
Mhm.
Just 2 comments. Did I see the salaries in?
They're listed
Yeah.
on the.
They're awfully low, and I know it's hard to find
Yeah.
school psychologists, everything, everywhere. I mean, so just a comment. Okay, 2. Are we making a worthy effort to hire these service roles, just like teachers, where they represent and reflect the diversity of our student body, so that we're not over identifying the kids
We certainly
know?
make that attempt.
with the salaries.
I mean, we've been fortunate with the registered behavior technicians. We have trained a lot of our para educators have taken the course. We paid for them to take the course, and so most of the positions have been filled by former para educators who have now done some extra learning and are able to function at that. We've also been fortunate with our BCBAs, and we've been able to find people to fill those roles. But I agree with you around the salary, and that is something that should be looked at.
All right, I have one last question. Thank you. I guess how much effort is the right word, maybe, to ensure that like there aren't outside stressors, hunger, fatigue, maybe abuse, something at home, kid taking care of their sibling and that's why they're tired. I mean, we know these things happen in Newport Public School. So how much obligation does the team have to rule out all of those other factors before then referring someone for special education?
I mean, we certainly try to take a pretty holistic view. A lot of times we have our social worker or school psychologist on the team. And if we know that it's a student whose family may be struggling around food insecurity or something along those lines, they are probably connected already with a school social worker. I can definitely say that the teachers and the support staff in this district know their kids. So, you know, we know it when they're struggling with those things. And so they can actually be factors sometimes that contribute to a disability. So while we don't want to over-identify a student as being disabled because of some of those environmental factors, we also can't completely rule it out as not a contributing factor. So it's a tightrope to walk for sure.
I know this is a huge world of the special education, all this federal stuff. So thank you for letting me ask all those questions. I know there's a lot more to it. So.
Yeah, not a problem. Happy to answer.
Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, I don't want to repeat what has already been commented, but again, people are probably tired of hearing me say I'm speaking from experience. And looking at some of the indicators on that checklist. Some of those issues that would be specific to certain groups, certain demographics. And when we talk about teaching, educating the whole child, the whole person, it's important for the educators to see are there some issues that are impacting on the success or lack thereof of a youngster's education. So this is an important document, in my estimation. And it could answer some of the questions we have about attendance. Again, I don't want to repeat what people have already been commenting on. And yet, when we look at it was item number 4.1 about over-identifying for the special education. You can see there's a balance that you're having to have here.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation for another time about wondering, are some youngsters identified for some special needs when something like this might answer some of the questions. So I think it's important for all of us to say, it's not just the book learning or screen learning, not just the actual educating in the academics, but we do have to look at all of the physical, social, mental issues that our youngsters come to school with. So I think it should be interesting to us here to look at some of the areas that you have to deal with every day with this. And I think these should be looked at very closely, in my estimation. Thank you.
I just had one question on it's an early intervening services, it says, but they're all at Thompson? Is it
Yes.
is it because of where the
So-
students are?
So early intervening means prior to referral for special education. So those services, it's the one time that IDEA is not addressing students with disabilities. It's addressing the students prior to being diagnosed and evaluated.
But again, it's because of where the students currently are, not.
Yes, it's early meaning prior to, not based on their age. So prior to being identified as special education student. In this particular case, that's where
Yes.
early intervening is.
Just curious why they
Yep,
call it
I
Thompson
know.
and
You'd think
not
they could
Appel.
come up with another term because we already have early intervention services for our pre-K to, our 3-year-olds. And so this, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. And then 4.3 is Assistant Principal Monahan will give a presentation on the AP test results.
Hi.
Hello. So, excuse me, for those in the audience, it will be on that screen back there. Unfortunately, we're here tonight because of the election or primary, so normally we'd have it up front. So there is a screen in the back for anybody in the audience that would like to follow along.
Okay, so this first slide I pulled from the Advanced Placement website. They compile data over the years and share it out. And this is our last 5 years of results. And so the Advanced Placement, just to give a very brief overview, there's a series of courses that students take. We offer 12 of them this year. And each of these courses has an end of course exam, standardized throughout the world. And most of the testing is done in this country, but it is worldwide, all at the same time. And students prepare for, take the exam, and the final score that a student achieves is between a 1 and a 5, 5 being the top score and 1 being the lowest. A 3, a 4, or a 5 is considered to be a passing score. And when they say passing, one perk of an advanced placement course, if you earn a 3, a 4, or a 5, many colleges will award you credit for that discipline. There's a lot of other great things about AP, but as far as the courses themselves, that's the biggest perk. As you can see, we've jumped around. I know one thing that stands out is 2020, the 2019-2020 school year. We seem to have excelled more than other years. This was, I'll remind you, the year that the world shut down a little bit, and students were assigned an alternate advanced placement exam that they took at home throughout the world. It was a 2-question exam, essay question or very long answer question. A lot of our students did pretty well. The College Board, who owns and runs the advanced placement program, had to very quickly figure out what they were going to do, and this is what they came up with, and this is how we did. Otherwise, you could see we were moving upward the years prior, 2018, 2019. Took a dip in 2021. I'll remind you again, that was the hybrid year where we were out of school every day around 12:30. Everything was shortened. Students were in either 2 days a week or home the whole time if they chose to be fully remote. There were a number of impacts, and needless to say, AP might not have been our top priority because we were trying to figure out what was going on and keep everyone safe. I was pretty happy with 2022, where we jumped up to 39% last spring. So that's an overview. The next slide breaks down our numbers, our actual number of students who participated and how they did. So our numbers have not been significantly different from 2018 to present. They've gone up a little and down a little, but I don't think in any significant way. We've had steady participation. an important thing to note about what we do at Rogers High School, we have encouraged everyone who wants to try an AP course. Many schools are restrictive in that you need a certain grade to achieve that opportunity. That can turn out to be pretty discriminatory. There are some studies that have shown that, if you just take an AP course, just by experiencing that rigor, being exposed to it, I think I get more into this in the next slide, but you have a lot of chances of either finding your major, being more prepared for college, and things like that. So we want that, even though if we were really selective and it would make our scores look a lot better, we want our students to experience this even if they have a tough time so that they're more ready when they move on. So last year, 106 students took one or more AP exams. We had 11 offerings, 223 total exams. 39% of our students scored either a 3, a 4, or a 5. This year, we're set up with 101 students to take one or more. That's 15% of the entire student body. Mostly juniors and seniors. We have 12 AP offerings this year and 234 exams to be taken. So I started to get into this, but students who take AP courses, they tend to perform better when they take subsequent college courses in the same disciplines. There's evidence, and the College Board follows this and collects a lot of data. They've noticed that a student takes a high-level course in high school, they're more likely to pursue that major in college and maybe go on to a career like afterward, or at least plan on it. They tend to take more college coursework. And another cool thing is that many AP takers do better in college and they succeed in the traditional 4-year bachelor's route. Before I get into this, there was a question that you had asked Ms. Winslow, and I did add a slide that we didn't put into this, but we'll share that with you after. And I'll just quickly, Ms. Winslow was asking about the percentage of students who take the AP exam or take the AP courses by class compared to the total number. So the last 2 years are the only years that I have pretty specific, like total class numbers. It would have taken me a little more time to figure out exact numbers, but last year we had 58 11th graders out of 178. So 32% of our 11th graders took at least one AP exam, and we had 48 seniors out of 177 in the total class. It's 27%. The year before, we had 55 juniors and 62 seniors. In 2020, we had 2 10th graders. We had 80 11th graders and 12 graders. We had 40. The bump in 11th graders, we were using Summit through P-TECH at the time, and every student in P-TECH had to take at least AP English, which really increased the numbers. 2019, we had 3 10th graders, 62 11th graders, and 46 12th graders. And in 2018, we had 3 10th graders, 47 11th graders, and 66 12th graders. This current year, though, as Jackson had referred to, schedules have been shifting around, but as of the beginning of school, we had 54 11th graders out of a total 147. 37% of our 11th graders are taking one or more, and 52 of 181 seniors are, and that's 29% of that class taking at least one AP exam. We have 1/10th grader so far. So things that we're looking at to improve our overall success. We want to improve feedback, and that's something we're doing with our work with our bar grant that we're applying to renew. One thing that we learned in an evaluation that we had from a representative hired by bar was how important it is to be consistent with feedback, and that's teachers to students, administrators to teachers. Students should provide us with some feedback so that they have an important voice. We need to hear it. We need to know what's working for them and what's not. We need to make sure they understand what they did right, what they need to work on, and how to get there. So we're taking a serious look at feedback. Equity is always a thing. It's one thing to say everybody can take it, but in a diversity and relevance committee meeting a couple of years back, I asked the students, how do you get into an AP course? And a lot of them didn't really know. And it made me realize we're not doing a good enough job. We need to make everybody know that this is for them. This isn't for some kids and not others. It's a very important thing. And make them believe that it's worthwhile and understand why they should consider taking AP classes. And so for equity's sake, we need to figure out how to better support students, and we have put some things in place, some ELA and math labs and guided learning centers to keep kids up to speed so that they're not scrambling to make up multiple Englishes and maths their junior senior year. They're in good shape to consider taking a higher level course. Teacher common planning plays a big role because AP doesn't just help AP students taking AP courses and exams. They're culminating activities that these AP exams require, and all courses benefit from teaching those skills. And we need to build, from one level to the next to make sure students are ready to consider these courses. And all these things are to develop the skills and in teachers to develop their ability to teach these skills and focus on the skills, which are just as much and sometimes more important than the content. We need to be able to assess and make sure we're assessing the right skills. We might think our homemade exams are great, but if they're not doing what translates to success on nationally normed exams, then we need to go back and see what we can do better. And culturally responsive teaching, that's something we're planning on doing some work. Some of us did a book study last year. It really bases around the science of teaching and learning and what makes certain individuals' brains shut down and how long they shut down for before they're ready to learn again. And doing intentional teaching practices to prevent shutting kids down, and understanding why kids shut down, and understanding when a kid shows up shut down and how to navigate through that so that the next time hopefully they'll be more ready. So we have plans to extend that work with cultural responsive teaching to all of our staff over the next 3 years.
Questions, Ms. Boland?
Well, I also want to point out a big difference between ourselves, who give all these opportunities to all of our kids, is that we pay for all the tests, correct?
Yes.
So a district that doesn't pay for the tests, you have the options of taking it or not. They cannot force you to take the test. So if you're in a different district and you don't think you're going to pass the test, you just don't take it. So then it's going to lift their numbers up and make them look really good on paper. But we don't do that here. Equity would be paying for everyone's tests and, seeing those results. And so, that's 39% is really excellent, considering all that. So.
Ms. Boatright?
How many years have you had it open and been trying to promote it?
Well, I arrived in 2018 and it was already open.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it goes a ways back before then. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
exactly when.
Mm-hmm.
But you started paying for us. Since you came here, you started paying. The district started paying for all the tests. Since
Was
you-
that since me?
Yeah.
Or was it
No, that
prior
was before him. That was
Before?
before.
to? I think it precedes me.
Wasn't in 2016. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I guess, and so, okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Leary,
Thank you very much. I have a few questions.
try
First of all,
to use
to
that
follow up
microphone. Bob, if try to use
Sorry.
this, I think you guys are sharing one.
Okay, thank you. Follow up with Mrs. Boland. I checked with some other districts that pay for people to take the exam, and we pay. I don't know what it is now. Maybe you can explain it, but it used to be over $20,000 to pay. I'm sure we can look it up and get the question from the business manager. But the other districts go if they give it. Many kids want to take it as we do, the AP courses. But if you get a 1 or 2, you pay. So it comes back that if you get a 3, 4, or 5, that we will pay for it. The district pays for it, like Wesley, for example. If you look up Wesley, that's how they do it. So it's open to all kids, but so I'm not saying it's a thing to do or not thing to do, but it gives a little skin in the game. Put some skin in the game. There's no skin in the game right now, for some of these kids. And it bothers me personally. I think it, but just to follow up that, you said that they will give you credit if you get 3, 4, or 5. Not all colleges will
No.
give you credit. They may.
Correct.
Keyword may there. You said will. So I want to make sure.
I said many colleges will.
Yeah.
Many, not all. It's very, yeah,
Many.
you're absolutely right. I
Right.
didn't mean to mislead anyone on that.
Right, thank you. So my question, the other question, I won't take up too much time. What can we do to make this better? Is it the curriculum? Is it the teachers? What can we do to make this better? I mean, the 5-year trend is not the best that we should be seeing, Well, the trend evolved together. What can we do to make this better, to get better results? Well, I'm looking for those results.
So, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about in this last slide without being able to go into explicit detail. Our teachers need to work together because some teachers are more talented in some areas than others, and we need to share that. Common planning is a very strong approach to improving overall student performance. That's one thing. Culturally responsive teaching. We have a very diverse student body, and we need to understand the unique needs of each of our students so that we make sure that we're including them and they feel like this is for them. It's very simplified to say that the way I'm saying it, but it's hugely important. If a student doesn't feel comfortable, they may not excel. They'll likely, by the time it comes to the test, they don't feel like they're ready and they don't necessarily do as well.
I think Mr. Vance wants to speak, but you just have to go back. Just go to the microphone so everybody can hear the question.
So, if you look at the trend, take the COVID years out, we're trending up. And what we're talking about is long-term sustainable work and growth.
You might have to get a little closer because we can't.
So it can't. There's never anything you're going to do that's going to flip a switch and change our results dramatically. You have to. It's a system, and systematic change takes time. And we're on the path. We are improving. Yes, you're going to take 20 and 21 out of the mix because of the COVID piece. But if you look at it, we are trending upwards. And so I see that number continuing to grow because our faculty and administration are all working together on our practice, and we are improving. So yeah, we're low in percentages, but it's still trending upwards. It's not a negative trend.
And there's still more we can do that we haven't done yet, or that we haven't done that we can do more of. There's so much more, and I'm not taking anything away from what's been done. I agree.
So one last question. I'm sure if you have a question, I don't want to tie up anymore. You said presently there's 12 courses at Rogers High School.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You said there's 12 courses at Rogers High School right now.
Yes.
So I work in the service industry. I've been here all the time. I know some kids are taking, one of them taking an AP course right now. I forgot which one it was. He only got 6 kids in his class. So is there a number of kids that you'd say we got to cut the class? Or is that class going to be change the schedule around, push it to the max and get some good results?
So, not necessarily a single cutoff number. There were some conflicts. One problem with having that many courses is that there's a lot of choices and a lot of students who have tried to schedule several courses, and then they make choices when they realize that they have a conflict that's irresolvable. We're working through that. One that's gotten down low. We're trying to find alternate ways. We have things like virtual high school, things like that, where we can enable the students to still take the AP course.
Economically or educationally, economically, it doesn't seem to work out. 6 kids in class, for a teacher being there. Educationally, then I would like to see those results, those 6 kids being tremendous. You got 6 kids you can push to the max for a whole year in AP.
Well, I mean, smaller numbers could help, but there are a lot of outside factors. It's not simply the fewer kids, the better they do. It's not that simple.
Dr. Flowers, you have to pull that microphone back.
Looking at the slide, and you have the same one that you have up there. These are all the scores from all the tests, right? I mean, this is not just one. You'd have your AP, English, history, whatever.
All the tests taken and all the different disciplines added together.
So these are all together.
Yes.
So have you seen, and I wouldn't want an answer right now, please, but were there any significant results among each of the 11 AP programs that you have? Like, say, did you see something really spiking in math or history or one of the sciences?
This past year we did one particular area, the English language, which is predominantly 11th graders, and the English lit, predominantly 12th graders. They were above the total. I don't have the exact numbers, but they did really well.
I just think it would be interesting to see in sort of tracing back to see where the successes lie and where some of the challenges lie. I mean, that's just, I wouldn't expect an answer right now.
And with that, though, each of the teachers have access to several tools and a lot of information specific to parts of the exam. The exam's fairly similar from year to year, that they can take a look at that and really figure out what they're doing really well and what
Just
they
their
need to work on.
strategies.
Just like a student. I mean, it's almost an exam for the teachers as well, where they need to analyze and figure out what's going well and what to do next.
Thank you.
Ms. Boatright, and then Ms. Winslow.
I just wanted to bring back the accreditation at Rogers and just some of the comments. And I just think that it's tragic, I'm going to say, that COVID hit at this point in time, because I think there's been a lot of hard work. And I think that was recognized in the accreditation document, where there's a lot of work on equity and trying to get all students involved and bring everybody up, and not just the top people to try to, so I just wanted to say that and recognize that. And, you're saying that the trending is going up. It would have been better had we not had that hiccup in the health environment, but I do commend you, and I'm very pleased to see and hope that there can be more support so more students can be in AP and be exposed to it, because I do think it's a very important and healthy avenue for them. Thank you.
I just wanted to share a story. I think we talked about this at the end of 2021. You presented the course results, and like on the topic of culturally appropriate content and teaching. And so I started doing some research. So I wrote to the College Board and I asked them why they don't have any other AP history classes besides AP US history and AP European history. Because there's a whole lot more of the world out there and a lot of history out there that specifically for our students, they might identify with and find interesting. And the reading and writing in the AP history classes is so intense. And like our university model still is really heavily based on lectures and reading and writing and, you know, go to class and listen, take tons of notes and read, and you have to write. And so these AP history classes are some of the toughest you can take. And it took months to get an answer out of them, but I'll read it. It said, the AP program is currently in the midst of building a new system of supports for AP teachers and students in existing AP subjects. To accomplish this substantial goal, we will not be considering new AP courses for the foreseeable future. Blah, blah, blah. May not be for some years. So I almost feel like the College Board's kind of their own worst enemy, where they haven't stayed relevant and stayed with the times, and we're still offering these same classes that have been the traditional AP classes for a very long time. But I mean, there's so much out there to learn. So I really feel for the kids who maybe just don't want to take AP European history, and it's a tough exam to sit through. But you know, hopefully AP College Board gets more creative in their course offerings too, and we apply all those same skills and disciplines to different subjects. Our students might like that. I don't know.
They do have a curriculum cycle where they will reevaluate a course and make some significant changes. And teachers, so the teachers that become AP teachers, they need to submit an AP syllabus by the year before, and it has to meet certain guidelines, and they approve of it. And it has to hit all the same things that are key to the AP exam. So they will have a review cycle. They will renew it, and typically the scores nationwide will drop a little bit because they're not used to teaching. I can't speak to specifically how culturally responsive some of their changes have been, but I think that's where they're headed and what they were trying to say.
Good.
Any other questions? Mr. Leary?
Just one last question. Thank you. What was the best results? Which area was the best results and which area was the worst results? Which test area?
I know that the English, the 11th graders and the 12th graders who took the two English exams, English language and lit, were above the average. I don't have the individual results in front of me to speak specifically.
Could you break that down for me, please?
Can I
I'd
what?
like to see each one of the results, each area. I say this goes back because a long time ago, there was an AP math test, and everybody's paid for it. There was 19 kids that took it, and 19 kids got a 1. That was a long time ago, so I'm not really clear about that. But I just like to know which area, which ones they got, which results they got.
Yeah, I will do my best to present whatever you want to have presented.
Great.
Yeah, it's important to know the subject, how they're doing each one.
Thank you, Mr.
Any
Mahoney.
other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I did not mean to end discussion. I just wanted to thank him for.
No, you did a fine job doing it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ms. Nash, do we have anybody signed up for public
Thank you, Mr.
comment?
Monahan.
Thank you. Next leads us. Yes.
Sorry.
Did you want some? Oh. Next action item 6.1, request for award of RFP number NPS 23005 Therapeutic Services. Director Gonzalez recommends award of the RFP NPS 23005 to Effective School Solutions to provide a comprehensive in-school therapeutic pilot program at Thompson Middle School. The contract will be funded through the general fund operating budget. Is there a motion to approve the RFP as presented? Dr. Flowers and Ms. Boatright and Director Gonzalez, if you want to give us some information on it.
Good evening, school committee members. This therapeutic program took a while to understand what our pilot plan was, course of action. We brought in a third party to help with mental health issues that are going on currently after COVID, and we believe this pilot program will help with some of the issues that are ongoing in the district with children. And we only had one response to our RFP, and this program, this vendor is going to offer services outside of our school day. Is there any questions?
Sure. Ms. Winslow, and I'll come back this way.
Okay, I just want to confirm it's one licensed mental health counselor, approximately 20 students for a caseload.
That's
Did I
correct.
read through that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we think this is sufficient?
Well, it is a pilot program,
Okay.
and we'd like to see positive results before expanding.
Okay.
Ms. Boatright?
I just want to say, again, I have been written internally and so on, that anything we can do to try to help with the social, emotional, and mental health of these students is a good step forward. So I'm going to be supporting this. And I really am very appreciative that it's not just school hours, because I think that that's absolutely critical. It happens when it happens. So thank you.
Mr. Dring?
I have a couple questions. I mean, it seems like this is because of COVID. So if it's because of COVID, why are we not paying for this out of ESSER funds? Why are we using general fund money?
Well, our ESSER funds have allowed less tight budget on our general fund operating expenses through the past 3 years. We also have a current spending plan to utilize all of the ESSER dollars. However, if things change in the next 6 months or 1 year, we do have the opportunity to transfer expenses from the general fund into our federal funds. So just as an example, if we budgeted for a position, I know things like paraeducators, we had special ed paraeducators in our ESSER dollars forecasted for 2 years. We're struggling to find adequate paraeducators in the district. I believe we have about 17 vacancies. So that may free up during our amendment period some dollars. We have to spend the ESSER monies, but within 9/30/2023 and 9/30/2023 for ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. So it may free up dollars in those grants, and at that point, we will reanalyze and potentially move some of the costs into the grant. Does that help?
And I think Ms. Winslow touched on this. This is just for one. This is just for one therapist.
2 years.
3 years.
It's an entire program. So we would have one dedicated clinical clinician. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. But we'll have one dedicated. But however, this person has a team of people that they work with a program that's already been proven. So they'll have access to directors. They'll have access to support, for questions they have and follow up with. But we'll have one dedicated to our district. And it is over a 2 year period.
So are they going to need a classroom, office space? I mean, Thompson is pretty crowded, to my understanding. Where are they going to be?
Well, that's a great question. We're going to utilize space when we can at Thompson, and keep in mind we are also using after hours and weekend with this vendor.
So there's no dedicated space that they're going to be in.
Not right now.
Thank you.
Just Ms. Winslow, going, Mr. Leary?
Mr. Chairman, could you, for the benefit of the public, tell them the cost of this program? I know what it is, I see it here, but I think the public should hear it.
Sure. The estimated cost is $323,000 for a 2 year period.
Thank you.
Ms. Winslow?
I was wondering if I could put Director Andrade on the spot, unless Director Gonzalez knows the answer. But so this is after school. This is a licensed mental health counselor, but school-based therapy is different. Is that correct? And how is this different from our school psychologists and what they do?
So this program has their own social emotional learning program embedded within their framework. So as Mr. Gonzalez said, they have clinicians that are sort of in their home base, and they are constantly looking at all of the data and assisting the on-site clinician with how to improve outcomes for the students that they're working with. Part of this program is also individual therapy for the student, group therapy for the student, and family therapy for the student. So it really pulls the families into the system, and they're all learning the same languages on how to speak to each other about the concerns that they have or the issues that they're having. It's a really nice comprehensive program that takes place some during the day and also outside of the school day.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Ms. Boland?
How difficult is it to find a licensed Rhode Island mental health counselor? Does this company already have them employed, or is that like a challenge?
So they do have a whole network of employees. They are in many school districts in the state of Rhode Island already. They're originally from California, I believe, or they're originally from Jersey. They have a lot of systems in California that they're working with, and that they have a lot now here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island and Connecticut. So they have their own network that they can draw from, but they do try to find someone local. And we have personally asked them to look for someone who is also bilingual, given our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? That's Dr. Flowers? Oh.
I'm just saying, look, keep going over all of this. That it's quite focused. It looks good to me.
Seeing or hearing no other questions, all those in favor of approval of the RFP NPS 23005 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yay.
Motion carries 5-2. Next action item, request for approval of the Goal Book Toolkit 6.2. Director Andrade requests approval to purchase Goal Book, a platform which will assist special education personnel with writing and implementing relevant, rigorous, and measurable goals for all our students. It also provides strategies and progress monitoring. The cost for student service department staff is $25,287,000 annually for a 3-year agreement. Funded is provided through the ARP grant. Is there a motion to approve the request? Ms. Boland, seconded by Ms. Boatright and Director Andre.
This is a platform to help the special education teachers and support service providers write really targeted, measurable goals, and it provides progress monitoring work for them that they can use based on the goal. So in the system, you would go in and put in the student's baseline data. It would help you to write the goal, and then provide to you appropriate progress monitoring tools to use throughout each quarter of the school year. Goal writing is not as easy and straightforward as people might think it is. So I think this is a really exciting opportunity for us to make sure that all kids are, have a target that they're working towards.
Any questions for Director Andrade? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of approval of the request for Goal Book Toolkit signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next action item is 6.3, to request for award of NPS 23002 Board Certified Behavior Analyst Consultant. Director Andrade recommends award of NPS 23002 Board Certified Behavior Analyst Consultant to maintain consistency in service delivery for our students with behavioral needs for the 2022-2023 school year to Colin Guerre. Mr. Guerre was a former district BCBA and was responsible for setting up systems district-wide. Funding for this consultant is provided through a federal grant. Is there a motion to approve is presented? Dr. Flowers, second by Ms. Winslow, and Director Andre.
Okay, so Mr. Guerre was our first BCBA that we had hired. He was with us for 2 years. He set up all the systems for the district around our behavior and progress monitoring, functional behavioral assessments, and he supervised the registered behavior technicians that we initially hired. Unfortunately for us, he has left to take over a family business. So we wish him the best in that, but we don't want to see the work that he did fall through the cracks, and we don't think it's a good idea to have people come on board and not know what's already in place. So this allows him to guide them through the systems that he created. Also, one of the BCBAs that we've hired, it's her first year, so she's not able to supervise RBTs yet, so he will help with that supervision as well.
Ms. Winslow.
Just clarifying question. So it's not like a full-time in the district position, it's more a consulting role, and it's
Yes.
not 40 hours a week. It's-
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Could you, for the benefit of the public, and give us the cost?
$15,000.
And the grant that is, the federal grant that's,
Oh, sorry, that came out of
True.
the ARP too. Yep.
Yeah, put it up
Okay.
again.
I knew the other part to the question. so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor to approve the request NPS 23002 is presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next one is 6.4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assistant Principal McKeon. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not yet. Almost.
That's
Six- 6.4 is request for approval of copy machine upgrade. Director Gonzalez recommends a copy machine upgrade based on 2 feasibility studies in the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement. Director Gonzalez recommendation is to enter into an agreement with Innovex, and it is provided. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation that's presented? Ms. Boatright, second by Mr. Dring, and Director Gonzalez.
Good evening again, school committee members. We had 2 feasibility studies done over the last 8 months. Myself and Director Young participated in district-wide analysis of our current copy machine equipment. The first company that gave us a quote was Connecticut Business Solutions, CBS, and the second vendor was Innovex. Innovex has really provided us an extremely competitive contract, especially with today's inflation rates. They have proposed approximately $500 a month savings in the cost to upgrade our entire fleet district-wide. Well, with that said, there is an anticipated increase in the copy machine costs coming at the end of this month, which is part of the reason why it's here now. They've offered a competitive price assistance with getting us out of our current copy machine contract, which is all explained in the backup here. I don't, is there any additional questions?
Mr. Leary?
Could you explain the cost to the public?
Sure. Currently, we spend approximately $5,200 a month on copy machine equipment. There's 21 units district-wide. That $5,200 covers our equipment as well as maintenance. So if a machine goes down and needs a roller, we have to call a 1-800 number. They come in and fix it. Or in ink is included in the 5,200. The proposal from Innovex reduces our cost. They also stated, and it's within the backup documentation, I believe there's a 21-page presentation that was presented from Innovex. They've listed the statewide approved rates with the MPA, and they've given us an additional discount on the approved rates from the state. So the proposal from Innovex would reduce our monthly expense from $5,200 to $4,700 for a 5-year term.
When's the contract with CBS up?
It expires in September of 2023.
So how are we going to get out of it?
We have
Explain that
to,
to the public.
yep, we have to provide a 30-day notice to CBS that we do not plan on renewing a contract with them. We are responsible for the remaining 10 months of our contract. It is going to take some time for the equipment to get here. It's about a 6-week wait, between 6 and 8 weeks once we place the order or we receive approval from the school committee to place the order. And we are responsible for the remaining months. However, there was part of the contract proposal from Innovex. They are going to cover the lease payments that are remaining if they are approved for the new purchase.
So for 11 months, they're going to cover the lease payments?
That's correct.
Right, thank you.
Ms. Boatright? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Boland?
So as far as like fixing them, are they local?
There is a local company, yes. We
Yeah.
have actually a representative sitting in the audience today, Mr. Blair. He's the
Okay, that's good.
direct, yes.
I'm kind of impressed. Because that's, get Johnny on the spot to come fix it.
Any other questions? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of the request as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, does he have a few words he wants to say? Anything right here?
Mr. Blair, you're not obligated.
No, he's not obligated. I just thought.
So I guess I'd just like to say thank you.
All right, that's good.
Good enough.
Next action item is 6.5. Excuse me, request for approval of professional development with Curriculum Associates for an iReady Math coaching curriculum implementation. And I believe Assistant Principal McKeon is here tonight, but Principal Westman requests approval to provide professional development through Curriculum Associates for iReady Math coaching for implementation of the new math curriculum. Funding for this proposal in the amount of $14,000 will be provided through Title I funds. Is there a motion to approve the request as presented? Dr. Flowers, seconded by Mr. Dring. And Assistant Principal McKeon, go right ahead.
Well, we just thank you that if we get approval for our professional development for our implementation of our math curriculum, it's very important that we keep supporting our teachers and raising success for our students. So thank you.
Are there any questions for Ms. McKeon? Ms. Boatright?
I guess both on this one and the reading one, I thought some PD came with them. This is extra?
I believe it is. Yes,
Mhm.
this is from Title I funding that would support them coming to us. We learned through our professional development that when we have our consultants coming to us
Mhm.
and modeling, our teachers get a lot more out of it, which then turns around more support and success for our students.
Mr. Leary?
How do we, thank you. How do we evaluate these new math? We switch programs every so often.
Well, our iReady math is not new. We've had it implemented. This might be our 4th year. It was around COVID that it came. So when we had purchased it, we hit COVID and some of our professional development was distance learning. So getting back to having someone come and present and model lessons for us, it is more valuable to our teachers and students. So we've had this program, we've had success. And how do we through our test scores of STAR and our progress monitoring, we've seen some growth.
You know, and I'm not criticizing you at all, please understand that. Doing math for 4 years and teaching, it bothers me that we had to connect to math in here for the longest time, and everybody came in front of us and said, this is the way we're gonna do it, this is the way we're gonna do it. And we have kids, I tell parents, bring a class action suit against the school committee for passing these things like connected math. That was in it. Now it's gone, and X amount of years now, we're sitting here, some people are sitting there, some won't be new people, and they'll be saying, we got a new math program, you know? We just don't seem to.
But when we pick our math programs, we don't just randomly pick. We do our due diligence of research. We have a supportive ride. We have Ed Helper come and we look at different parts of the program that we look at what our students need. So it's not just a random selection that we pick our math programs. iReady has been in place, like I said, and we had implemented right around COVID. So we did do our due diligence in finding what's best for our students.
Any other questions? Ms. Winslow?
The thought, I mean, it's a lot more than just the curriculum, right? We saw some other action items earlier about getting therapeutic services and the mental health and goal writing, and all this stuff is what goes into improving results for the students. And kids, the needs of the kids change too. We just saw a massive global trauma basically happen over the last 2+ years, and so we have to adapt, and we always learn things change. So, you know, hopefully they're getting better, the curriculum to meet the needs of our students. But I think that everything we see on the agenda goes towards supporting students' achievement and teacher success. And so I don't want to think about it as just the curriculum and maybe just the curriculum that failed. There's a lot to it.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you, son.
Any other questions, comments? Not seeing or hearing any of those in favor of the request to approve the on-site development, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Next action item is 6.6. Excuse me. It's a request for the approval of the on-site professional development with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt for into reading in Red 180 coaching curriculum implementation. Principal Westman requests approval to engage for on-site professional development to support teachers that are implementing the new ELA curriculum. The agreement is provided in the amount of $29,040 and will be funded through Title I funds. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Boland, second by Ms. Winslow and Principal McKeon.
Again, thank you for allowing us to have professional development for our teachers. This would be our second year of implementation for interreading, and we are finding success of the teachers having a year behind them of knowing the curriculum and bringing back our same consultant and digging deeper and going into standards and year at a glance, so we have a good scope and sequence that will support and raise our scores. I mean, we have to start with our students elementary that will support when we get to the high school. So, thank you.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Leary.
Thank you, Chair. It might be a generic comment, but how do we evaluate our professional development? Might be Ms. Jaminius, I don't know.
So I know on behalf of Pell School, what we do at the end of our evaluation, we do take a survey. We ask our teachers who are in there taking the survey, what worked, what didn't work, how can we make it better? We also have time with the consultant that works with us, and we look at that data, what our teachers are giving us, and we support them. So again, our teachers, we're supporting our teachers, which then in turn support our students, and our teachers know our students' needs. And that's how we provide that professional development, get feedback, and use data right from our teachers of what they need.
So have we had any professional development already? I know we have, it's for the public.
I'm sorry?
There might be a question for Ms. Jamanian. We have any professional development already? Like a day, we have a day or two already?
We do. We have actually tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have our Jenna Crosby from Interreading coming, and she's actually coming to Pell to support our Interreading, where this year we've had a lot of transition of new teachers, new hires, and we need to support them as well. So we're going to give them some professional development of just learning the platform, using the resources that this program supports. It also has implementation of science of reading. So we do have that, and it's happening tomorrow as we speak in the next few days.
And when do we hear the results of the evaluations of the professional development?
The results we always get data a few days after our consultant leaves, and the teachers take the survey. And then once that is all done, within a week, we do get the data. And we do adjust, yes.
Okay, we can hear back to those results?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Boland?
Yeah, I have one question. I know that, I can't think of the name of it's one word, it's a female's name, and it's a part of that program where the kids do a reading. Amira. What's it called, Amira?
Amira, yes.
Yes. Are we using that?
We have.
I'm thinking of wall, Ms. Boland.
What, wall?
Amira. Thank you.
Amira.
Thank you.
We
I'll remember that. Thank you.
So I can only speak from when Chris Ashley was here. We did purchase 50 licenses, and it is not for all students. It's for that tier 2 support that can support our students based on their needs, as well as a tier 3.
I'll just say, though, that I've heard amazing results from that. I mean, maybe it's worth having one classroom do it, because you could do it in unison. It's like a 10-minute program that's done daily, but just to consider that, because, like just one grade, pick one classroom and see what happens.
Yes. We'll look into that.
Look into it.
No pun intended, right?
I'm never going to forget the name.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the request for approval of the professional development signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next action item is 6.7. It's a request for approval of Theodore R. Sizer Teacher Center looking at student work protocols and support. Principal Vance requests approval to continue work with the Theodore R. Sizer Teacher Center. Department chairs will continue to establish protocols and best practices for looking at student work. The agreement in the amount of $68,947 will be funded through the Bog Foundation grant. Is there a motion to approve the request as presented? Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Boatright, and Principal Vance.
Yeah, so this is just the continuation of the work that we've been doing already with the Sizer Institute. They've been coming in working with our department chairs and departments individually, around protocols for looking at student work. How do they calibrate? How do they assess? When they look at an assessment, is it truly measuring what they need to? And then, as Mr. Monahan mentioned, kind of playing that forward with how do we provide feedback and making sure that feedback's meaningful for staff and students. So, this has been an amazing journey with this organization and the amount of work and support that they've provided us over the last at least 5 years. So we want to just keep that going.
Are there any questions or comments from Mr. Vance? Dr. Flowers?
Yeah, this is anecdotal, but I've had the good fortune to be asked to judge some of the different competitions we've had, the History Day, the science fairs. And I've noticed the past few years, because I always look at the papers that the students have written, because that's always a good experience, interacting with the students. But I've noticed a definite improvement. I think I've mentioned it to a few people, that the quality of their writing, the mechanics of their writing, that's just one area that it's obvious that their teachers are coaching them, working with them, but I think more time seems to have been taken to get the youngsters who, they might not be the high ranking AP kids, but again, the quality of what they're producing to me is quite obvious. So if this has any role in it, it's certainly a good investment.
Thank you for that compliment. And yes, it does pair with the improved product from our students.
Anybody else? Not seeing or hearing anybody? All those in favor of the request for approval to continue with the Sizer Teacher Center signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 7-0.
Thank you.
Next action item is 6.8. It's a request for approval of college advisor. Principal Vance request approval to continue. Whoops. Got to switch page. Sorry. Principal Vance request approval to contract with Carly Kerr for the fiscal year 2023 school year as college advisor for Rogers High School. The contract is budgeted within the general fund. Is there a motion to approve the request as presented? Ms. Boatwright, seconded by Ms. Winslow. Mr. Vance.
So this is to continue the work that we've had over the last year, to kind of moving forward. The organization that was providing that service no longer does in Rhode Island. And so Carly was a member of that service provider, but because she's been with us and has a good understanding of our students and our population, she was one of the only ones that put in for the RFP for this upcoming school year. And she's done a phenomenal job. On a bigger picture, this is a true area of need for the high school, that we need to be able to connect with our families and students much better and much earlier around the college application process. So this is just ensuring that we have that support still in place, and we are still looking to actually add to the level of support. But this is just to make sure we're at status quo that we've had for the last handful of years.
Ms. Boatwright.
Yeah, this is an area I've heard from some parents on, and so I wanted to ask if we couldn't do a survey to see what other districts are doing in this area, because I feel as though we're just not doing as much as some of the other ones. So I think if we could see, because I don't know, but it's come up a few times, so I just think it's important to look out to other similar demographics as well as just neighborhood or neighboring communities. Your thoughts on that?
I'd really want to look at districts that have the same demographics as ours, particularly a high number of first generation students where this process is foreign, right? I've been done a bunch of community meetings with the Boys and Girls Club, and that is the overarching message that I've been getting from families and students, is that they need the information sooner, right? Earlier. So when you start talking about FAFSA and the Common App and the whole process, it's not scary. And it's not totally out of the blue for some of these families. And Carly's done a really nice job with that with the year she was here. But again, we definitely need to grow this support for our community.
Right. And maybe just looking at what others are doing, but also trying to see what might be a better scenario for us. I just think it's something that I've heard, we just don't have the depth that we might need. So I'd like to see more on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Drake?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. As my daughter's a senior at Rogers, so I'm aware of that. And Carly's already, I've gotten I don't know how many emails from her. We have a meeting tomorrow night that she set up for financial aid. Was she here?
Yeah, she's right there.
So I will see you tomorrow. I have not responded yet to your email, but I do plan on being here tomorrow. So, no, I think as a parent with a senior, I feel pretty good about it.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad Mr. Drink brought it up, because I was honestly going to say that I think it's one of the stronger things that I hear positive from our parents. That they give a lot of credit to our college planners for keeping on the kids, meeting deadlines. So I think a lot of parents, I hear that it was very useful to them. So I was going to just add that, but I'm glad Mr. Drink has personal experience. So.
It completely is. They've done a great job. It's just we have a level of need where if we could multiply Carly by 2 or 3, like we'd be perfect. But we just have one.
Mr. Leary.
She's fantastic.
Could you, first of all, give us the cost for the benefit of the public?
$40,000.
Which one we look at?
6.5. 6.8.
Okay.
It's in the
So I
back.
look at 6.8 when actually come up. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of the request signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carly, and continue good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly.
6.9 is request for approval of IT services. Director Young recommends renewal of the contract with Custom Computing Specialist in the amount of $307,800. The contract will be funded through ESSER 3 funds. Is there a motion to approve the contract or the agreement as presented? Ms. Boland, seconded by Dr. Flowers. Director Young.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for having me tonight. So this is just a renew of the current contract that's been here since 2019, 18. So this is just a renewal of the contract. These guys are doing an awesome job. I can tell you, since Wednesday, the first day of school, we've had over 300 help desk tickets that they've answered. That's only in 3 days. So, and they keep our infrastructure safe. They have the engineer here extra time, 2 days a week, and anytime we need anything help. With building the new high school and with Pell, they're an asset in helping us answer any kind of technical questions.
Any questions, comments?
I just
do.
have a quick
Go ahead,
question.
Mr. Drink.
Yeah, Mr. Young, this looks like it's obviously paid through ESSER. At what point is this going to roll into our general budget? Like, how long are we going to be able to get this to be paid by ESSER?
Good evening. It's likely to be built into our 2024 budget unless there are amendment changes that free up some of the allocated dollars currently in our ESSER.
Thank you.
I will say that for me, Custom Computing has done a fantastic job. They came on in a kind of unfortunate time for us a couple of years ago, and I don't know if it's quite prevalent in the press today, the stuff going on around school districts around the country. So they've been able to right the ship for us and keep us afloat. So they've done a great job, knock on wood. So any other questions, comments? Mr. Leary.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, compared to what we have, I totally agree with your comments. It didn't work out what we had before. It wasn't what it was sustainable. My concern is what Mr. Dring just said, the growth in our general fund budget, and I know it's coming out of ESSER funds, is not going to be sustainable in a few years when the ESSER funds money is. That's going to be questions you're going to have for the business manager coming up. You're going to have some serious growth in our budget that we have. It's going to be sustainable. It's going to be phenomenal. Trying to keep it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing or hearing any of those in favor of the request for IT services signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Next request is 6.10. It's a request for approval of Pell Elementary School pavement resurfacing. Director Young requests approval to contract with Oak Hill Farm LLC to replace the basketball court and asphalt at Pell Elementary School in the amount of $53,000. The project will be funded with capital improvement funds. Motion to approve. Ms. Boland, second by Ms. Winslow. Director Young.
So again, with all the work going on at Pell and doing some walkthroughs, we just noticed that the basketball court asphalt area where a lot of students are playing needs improvement. So now we thought it was a great time to go out there and improve that while the construction is currently going on.
Any questions? Ms. Boland.
When will you do it?
They're starting Thompson on Thursday, so they'll be there for a couple weeks, and then they'll head right over to Pell.
So kids won't be able to use the playground for a while?
This will be a quick turnaround. This will be maybe a 2-week turnaround. It's a fast one.
Miss Dr. Flowers.
I've said this before. I think it was maybe sometime last year when we were looking at all the expenditures for the previous month, and it would say repairs, and I said, "Oh, it's so refreshing to know that needed repairs are being taken care of now." And I find this is it's not good news that the repairs have to be made, but that we have a situation now where we see something has to be fixed, you're fixing it. So to this I say, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm someone who had to deal with lack of repairs for so many years. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Leary?
Where's the location this basketball court repaving going to be done? Is it back of the school?
In back of the school, yes, right outside
So
the
that's-
the gymnasium.
I'm not going to support that, and I always support improvements to schools. But we had a lot of problems with neighbors in the past with the basketball court.
I'm using the basketball court because that's what's there right now. So everybody's familiar with the area. If they put a basketball hoop, right now there's a hoop up there, but there's no rim, so they're not playing basketball. So I'm just using that as an area so people know where it is. Yeah,
So is it
Not-
behind the school where the neighbors used to complain, all the stuff that
it's
went
directly
on?
behind the school. Yes,
No, but the
but the term
basketball
basketball
court
court
is now, the basketball court's gone. It's where the bus turnaround now is. It's a basketball court that was being used.
No, it's where the addition is.
There's a half court just outside of the gym.
So I can't support that. I didn't get a chance to go see the neighbors.
That's fine.
I know we've had numerous calls in the past, these I have, and I've been out their houses where things went on, the kids in the back of that house, they were out of sight, everybody's mind.
And the school has taken the rim down. There's a backboard up there, but there is no rim, so you can't play basketball out there right now.
Right. That's why neighbors haven't complained.
Yeah, but
No, but the
basketball
basketball court
it's not going
is
back.
The one-
Right.
I know.
I'm a resident of Dudley Avenue. The basketball court that was causing all the problems is gone. It does not exist. That's where the turnaround is, where the bus loop is.
The bus loop took the basketball court that everybody was complaining about.
Yeah,
This
okay.
court doesn't, there's no rim, there's no basketball being played on this area. It's a reference for
He's
in the
using it as
It's
a
not the
basketball.
same section.
No,
No.
he's using it as a reference
Thank you.
point.
But the point is that it says here, the asphalt area is cracking and it's dangerous. Obviously, the kids must be there during the school day, right?
Yeah, they're out there running around.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that's obvious.
Very good.
That's what it's about.
Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And 7-0. Thank you. Action item 6.1 is request for approval of employee leave. That'll be sent to executive session. So that gets us into discussion items. And 7.1 is school building committee update. Seeing as I see nobody in the audience, I'm going to look at Ms. Boatright and Ms. Boland.
I mean, I guess, does anybody have any questions, I think, because we didn't really have anything to present tonight.
No, it's-
Just tell us about the ribbon cutting.
Yeah,
Well, everybody here
so
was
the
there.
ribbon cutting was really exciting and fun, and we had the Dell's truck there, which always makes it even better. And we let the kids do all the cutting, and because it's all about the kids, right? So anyway, that was a very exciting time to get that done. We're now working on a very compact list of things that need to be addressed. Some of them are just popping up as we go. So, piece of furniture that needs this, or we have some couple issues with some water that's pooling, but we have total confidence that every single one of those issues will be corrected, and we'll be with Bean till after Christmas, probably. Till we just going to make sure everything gets done and gets done the right ways. And as far as Rogers goes, they're doing the abatement right now, and we're dealing. As soon as that's finished, then they'll start, emptying it. And so that's where we are with that project. And the demo will start in October, right? So, and we actually, so tonight, if you want to, there's actually 3 boards up here, and you're more than welcome to look at them. And those are the some of the suggested finishes. Okay.
I have a quick question, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe quick. So Pell ribbon cutting has happened. Maybe there's a couple little kinks to work out, but how much longer is being brothers on board and before we close this whole project out?
Till every single one of them is to our satisfaction.
Okay. Yeah, we know where they live, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little while, but it's not due to anything. It's
Yeah,
just a few things, procurement of things that are taking a little bit longer. So there's some lead times. That's it. It's not any
No.
major items. It's just some minor.
And I just
Tidying
have
up
to
a
say,
loose
me
ends.
and Brothers did an incredible job getting it done a year ahead of schedule, under budget. Nothing but great things to say about their work ethic and the job they did. These are things that are, some of them, happen in every single project.
Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. Okay, we'll move along. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as approved? Dr. Flowers, seconded by Mr. Dring. Any questions on the consent agenda? Ms. Winslow?
I guess there was this one item number 69, sole source construction installed bathroom. It was on the invoices list. Was that part of the bond, or it was totally different repair? Or yeah,
May
okay.
I? Good evening again.
Hi.
That number 69 for the sole source construction is an item that we are converting a bathroom that was it was a bathroom originally when Pell was built. It was converted to a safe space.
Yep.
Bathroom was removed,
Yep.
and we are now converting back to a bathroom.
Got it. Okay. And one more question. Number 4, J. Arthur Trudeau tuition. Curious what that is.
The Trudeau Center handles some of our special needs. So we have a special needs child there. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of this consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 9 is our monthly correspondence. There are school building committee notes, basically, and that is it. Motion to approve the monthly correspondence. Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Boatright. Any questions on the monthly correspondence? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor to accept them as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that leads us into the reports from the superintendent and staff. Is there a motion to approve the reports as presented? Dr. Flowers, seconded by Ms. Boatright. And the first two are Mr. Gonzalez, so he's sitting at the table. Do you have any questions for Mr. Gonzalez on 10.1 or 10.2? Mr. Leary.
Mr. Gonzalez, could you run through the ESSA money, or could do it next month, whichever way, the amount of money each year that we received?
Sure. I'd be glad to read off. The information is contained within 10.2, and it's pages 6 and 7. I have, at your request, included every month our ESSER expenses by line item. The line items are the different priorities that were required with the ESSER $2, and I'll give you a second to turn to them. But it's page, yes, sir.
Yes, so for the public, how much money do we receive total in ESSA 1? How much money we receive total in ESSA 2? How much money we receive total in ESSA 3? I know they're not done 2 or 3.
Yeah, I have to go off memory. I believe it was
We can do it next month.
960,000 for ESSER 1. I have ESSER 2 and 3 included here. We have exhausted all of the ESSER 1 dollars. Those monies were spent and received. We only budgeted for 3 items. Actually know them off the top of my head. Property and liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance, as well as our contract for the infrastructure and security with Custom. That was all of the expenses for ESSER 1. Okay, ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 were much larger buckets, and they had tied to them various priority components. And I do have them all outlined within pages 6 and 7. So
Yeah, just for the public, so is the total for ESSA 2, $3.2 million?
that's correct, sir.
And so the total for ESSA 3 is, the total for ESSA 3 is how much?
6.8 million.
So, and it's 3.2, and how much was one? I'm just trying to get-
969,000.
Okay, $1 million round off.
Yes.
So we're talking about $10 million, $11 million total money for ESSA over the period of X amount of years.
Approximately 3, yes.
Okay, that's what the question I had, is how much money we received, the plus through the department in ESSA funds.
Okay, so we have ESSER 1 was approximately $1 million.
Right.
So far with ESSER 2, we've received 2.7 million. And so far with ESSER 3, we have received 1.2 million.
So, one last question on this class. Could you also remind the public how much of a surplus we have?
Absolutely. From the, just give me 1 second. So we ended school year 2022. Now, this is an estimate that's unaudited. I
Right.
do have a small hold of approximately 200,000. Okay. We ended 2022 with approximately $1.8 million in surplus that would be added to the prior year's surpluses, bringing our total to 5.5 million. And that number does not include our school building custodial funds, which is a new requirement from GASB that we have to account for our building school funds within our final financial statements. And they are just small amounts.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a
Ms.
comment.
Winslow.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we get,
Gotta
Mr.
speed
Leary
up a
always
little.
talks about when this money runs out, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But I mean, but we have this big surplus. So a lot of people will say, well, we don't need money from the city. The city can only increase our budget 4% maximum each year. So I believe it's still important that the city considers increasing that budget and that we lobby to the city, but we do want to keep, so that that operating budget stays on pace with what we do want to spend. And if you find creative ways to spread out this ESSER money, it won't be like falling off a cliff. But correct me if I'm wrong, I guess.
So, to the best of my knowledge, this city cannot exceed a 4% increase to the school without a vote and approval by taxpayers. But they technically can give us more if ever needed. We are in, I think, a very comfortable position with all of the ESSER dollars that have been funded to the school department over the past few years, where we've utilized them to help, begin pilot programs and really test drive some different programs, including personnel, to improve outcomes within the district. So as we near expiration of some of our grants, ESSER grants, we continue to look at the evolution of the pilot programs and whether or not they've been successful. If they are or have been successful, and we'd like to continue to support them, if we didn't have enough money flowing in from the various revenue sources, including the city, then we potentially could look to some of the surplus dollars that we've established over the past few years. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Boland.
Don't we usually refer to them as our fund balance, though? Not so much surplus, just a different way to look at
It's
it.
25% word using, that's all.
I believe we are.
I like fund balance.
I believe we're using the term education balance.
Right. Because that's what that money is intended for.
Absolutely,
So,
yes. Yep.
Education fund, that's what we're gonna.
It's a surplus.
Well, the pendulum swings
You
pretty
can do it any way
quickly.
you want to do it, it's a surplus.
Yeah, but you never know what kind of kids are going to come into the district with like the special needs. We see the tuition and all those contracts that can really just come out
No,
of nowhere.
I hear you all that. I'm just saying, fund balance, surplus, just a matter which word definition actions you want to use. I call it surplus. You can call it fund balance. I'll call it surplus.
Wonderful. Any other questions on 10.1 and 10.2? Not seeing or hearing any, we'll move along. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. 10.3 is enrollment, demographics, and homeless reports. Any questions for the superintendent on those reports? Questions, comments? Seeing none. 10.4, superintendent's update on partnerships, collaborations, and personnel. Are there questions? Mr. Leary.
Yeah, the superintendent take some time to explain all these stipends, and maybe the business manager can know how much money we're paying in stipends, and are they contractual or non-contractual? What's the story with all that?
So within our operating budget, there are 3 line items that capture, and this is within our general fund, but there are also federal dollars that support some of the stipends. For instance, an example would be a guided learning center facilitators. And within our ESSER grant, I use the term tutoring. In a sense, that's what it is. But they are earmarked dollars to support these positions. But if I can go back to our general fund operating budget, line item number 51404 is one of our stipend line items, which cover some of these costs. The other stipend other 51401 is in additional funds within our budget to support these itemized stipend listings that you see. There's one very small amount within our budget. It's the AM/PM supervisor line, 51324. So combined, those three object codes support the various stipends that we pay for throughout the year.
So what's the total amount of money spent on stipends? You can answer that next month if you want.
No, I mean, I can do the math. Right, we got
And all stipends, 200,000?
It's 253,000. 58, excuse me. 258 is budgeted. That's not necessarily what's fully spent.
Right.
As you can see in the gray box on the monthly financial report, the gray box contains what we spent in the prior year. Obviously, it's unaudited, but I don't anticipate any audit adjustments to those numbers.
I'd have to look back, but I think that number's been substantially increased over the past few years. Is it we increased a lot more new positions, new stipend positions? Is that what it is?
We haven't, so that's a complicated answer because sometimes we can't fill. For instance, we're struggling right now with recess and lunch duty at Thompson. We're struggling to find, we budgeted for approximately 8 positions at around $500 a piece. We can't find suitable help in, so our next option would be to pay an hourly rate. And it's something we're currently discussing, and that cost will increase.
Are any of these contractual stipend positions?
Yes, I believe so. Some
So
are,
the
yes, some are directly in the
contractual-
TAN contract, yes.
So then that means, oh, it's in the contract.
Some, yeah, a large bulk of these are, yes.
Some are in state law.
You know, we have to have someone monitoring children at recess.
Are there any other ones that would contractual minus 10 contract? What I'm trying to get to is that we have the authority as a board of directors to approve any type of thing is contractual. It will cost money. So we have right to do all contractual things, to prove it. That's our authority. So if it's something that's been created new and they have a contract, I'm not saying 10, we approve 10 contract, so obviously it's there. But if it's not, we should have a right to look at that. I don't want to relinquish any more of our authority that the state legislators took away from us.
Okay. Understood. So, any other questions for Mr. Gonzalez?
So, could they get back to me on that, whether the new one's been created, how many new positions, stipend positions, how many contractual that are not 10?
So some of the fluctuations,
Not to be tonight, I'm not expecting it to.
I think I
He
have an
can
answer
answer if
for you.
you'd let him speak for a minute.
I do. I think I have an answer for you. So I gave you an example of our current dilemma with the recess and lunch duty, where we can't find a position. We didn't have that problem last year. We had some participants sign up for the stipend. So this year, that's where the fluctuation would be, where we have a small period of time, maybe a week or two, where we couldn't find adequate coverage. So then we look to an outside community partner for help. And that cost would then go up because we don't have somebody in the building already that has a free period to cover recess. We're actually bringing in an outsider, and then there's some labor law requirements. You know, we have to pay minimum wage, and there's certain hours we have to pay during the day. We can't just bring them in for 45 minutes. I don't know that we'd have anybody volunteering for that.
Well, it's called contractual duties. When you negotiate a contract, you get duties in there. It's not uncommon for teachers to have duties. I understand that. I totally get
Okay,
it.
we're gonna.
Okay.
That's fine. We can get some answers to those questions. Any other questions? Ms. Winslow?
Some of these are paid for by ESSER, right? That's the tutoring, the guided learning center is what we're calling it. Yeah, and that we expected. That's what ESSER money was supposed to be used for. Yeah.
Any other questions for Ms. Gonzalez? Okay, I'm not seeing any. That concludes the superintendent's reports. There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. Suggested meeting dates. The next regular school committee meeting, we will talk about this. The next regular scheduled school committee meeting is Tuesday, October 11th. There is a Newport School Committee joint meeting with Middletown School Committee on Tuesday, September 20th at 5:30 at CCRI Auditorium of the Newport campus. There is a Newport School Committee special meeting Tuesday, September 27th at 5:30 at Pell Elementary School. And there are the next school building committee is September 26th, and then again on October 11th.
Same night as the school committee meeting?
Right before it, yes.
Right before.
Right before
Okay.
it.
And then that brings up for our future meeting dates for discussion this evening is November meeting would fall on the night of election night. So I would be looking for suggestions of where to move the November meeting, whether we move it to the Monday or the Wednesday around the Tuesday. I believe it's November 8th is election.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 9th, okay? Okay, that's an easy poll, Mrs. Nash. Wednesday, the 9th.
What does,
Saved you some emails.
well,
Push the deadline. It's election anyhow.
everyone's gonna be busy on election night. Right?
Yeah.
The night before. Night before.
I'm busy on Monday
Yeah.
nights. They gotta get ready for the election. Those unfortunate people that are running.
If we had
Um,
staggered elections, it would be a
so,
lot easier for us.
Ms. Nash will do the November 9th for the November meeting. And then that moves us to executive session. If Mr. Drain could make a motion to
Mr.
read,
Chairman, before you do
Mr.
that,
Leary.
can I interrupt you?
Go right ahead.
I'd like to have something for next month on the agenda. If you can get Rogers High School to come back, if everybody's aware, and I'm sure they are, in Providence, there's been a big controversy lately about credit retrieval. They have different names for it. I'm sorry, whatever name they use or we use. But I'd like to know how many students took credit retrieval last year and how many credits each student took.
We can work that in because we are expecting a report from our summer programs anyhow. We can
Yes,
incorporate it
and
into
Mr.
that.
Vance is presenting next month too on the accreditation and the recent accolades Rogers High School has received.
Right, but we can work that into the report of the school programs we'd ask
Sure.
for attendance and how they were attended, so we can work that all into the same program.
And the second one, if we could, at some point, set up a meeting with the superintendent to look at contracts of the administrators and other ones. But it's our purvey to control contracts, so we should be taking a serious look at that.
They're
I
on
think
the
the
website.
superintendent did.
They're on the website. All the contracts are on the website.
No, I think you need to sit down with us, maybe. You know, we want to discuss Preston's contract, whatever, going forward. Are they all up?
They're all they're all on the website. There's all the contracts are on the
Okay,
website.
So before you renew a contract, you need to come back to us?
No.
I'm not sure about that. You've got to check your lawyer.
That's correct, Mr. Leary. She does, as long as she's within the template that you approve and set up and within the financial parameters, she is the appointing authority.
So when,
If she goes outside of those parameters, she needs to come back to you.
so let's say, Mr. Gobb, we don't know it. We're sitting there, and she approves to give administrator $50,000 wage. I'm just making that up.
Yep.
That's our prerogative to say, no, 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 no.
No, if it's within the financial parameters that you have set as a school committee, she has the authority to do that.
Last year, you approved a structure for me, and that's what I follow, and I have to stay within the parameters of that structure.
If she goes outside of that structure or wants to make changes or add things to the template contract, she needs your approval.
I think, Mr. Gobb, could you look into this for us, please? I've talked to other school districts, and they've told me point blank that school committees have control over contracts.
That's the control that you've set. You've set up a template, and the financial parameters, because you're controlling the budget in that respect. Those are the controls you exert.
So could we say that she discussed the contracts with us going forward before anything goes out?
I don't, as long as it's within the template that you create and the financial parameters you create, I think she's got the authority under statute to proceed that way.
I think, I don't know, if we're gonna, could you look at that?
Sure.
Other districts have definitely been, I've contacted, told me point blank that we have the control. And that's one of the things we control.
Well,
I don't want
that's-
to give up any more authority.
Yeah, of course, that's important for the school committee, but the control that you exert currently exists in the form of creating the template contract that you approve and the financial limitations that you approve. That's the control you're asserting. Within those controls, there's flexibility for the superintendent to act.
So let me, and I don't want to prolong the meening more, let me make the last comment that you saw in the paper recently what happened up in northern Rhode Island somewhere, am I correct? Did you see that? Anybody else see it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so
A
what
lot of
happened was.
things
they
happen in
pulled-
northern Rhode Island.
What's that?
A lot of things happen in northern Rhode
Yeah,
Island.
no, the school committee and the superintendent had a little disagreement on renewing a contract of administrator. And the school committee said, bring it in front of us. And what they did, and you can look it up, it's in the papers, you can pull up somewhere, what the school committee did said, we don't want to renew his contract. So somebody in the school committee made a motion to say, I made a motion that we're going to pay, I'll make a principal job, I'll make it up. We're going to make a principal, we're going to pay him $50,000 a year. And somebody seconded. And they had a little discussion, the person called the vote, and they called the vote, and it was shot down, it was passed 4-3. So they passed the motion because they said they can control the contracts.
Well, I'd be happy to look at
Yeah,
any
yeah.
information. Well, why don't you provide it to me? I'm
Sure,
not
I
sure
will.
what you're
I'll
referring to.
give
That
it
would
to
be
you, yeah.
very helpful if you could provide that.
I think I already forwarded to people earlier one time.
Be happy to look at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll take care of that. So, Mr. Dring, if you could read the motion to go into executive session, please.
School committee may seek to convene, if warranted, executive session under jurisdiction of Rhode Island State Law, Chapter 46, 42-46-5A1. Any discussions of the job performance, character, or physical or mental health of a person or persons, provided that such person or persons affected shall have been notified in advance in writing and advised that they may require that the discussion be held in an open meeting.
Is there a second? Dr. Flowers, any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. We'll adjourn into executive session and report out afterwards.
Come see here.
No, we're gonna go in there. We'll change seats. So we, a little more comfortable. The contours are different.
We're not ordering these if I didn't
Hard
say right
plastic,
now.
but the contours are gonna work as hard as I can. Takes 10 minutes.